Well, hello there, and welcome to an audio version of the Common Constitutionalist Weekend podcast. And today this is an audio version because my son and I were out filming a workout that I'm putting together to put up on YouTube and my site of some of the unconventional things that I do in my workouts, my physical workouts. And we used up most of the camera's battery, and I wasn't able to recharge it in time to do this video podcast, so here we are, an audio version. So today I was going to talk about Dick's Sporting Goods, gun control, and Springfield Arms, which I thought was fascinating, but then I stumbled on a front page mag article about John Kerry, Michael Flynn, and the Logan Act. So this was astounding to me, and we're going to discuss that instead. I may touch on the Dick's Sporting Goods thing. I don't know, maybe I'll just write about that. But here we go with the Common Constitutionalist audio version of the Weekend podcast.
Listening to the Common Constitutionalist, broadcasting from an undisclosed location, free from the prying eyes of establishment black helicopters.
Alright, so if you're unfamiliar with what the Logan Act is an act that was enacted January 30th, 1799. So it's been around for a little while, and is United States federal law that criminalizes negotiation by unauthorized persons with foreign governments having a dispute with the United States. Now, we got that? So while I'm going through this front page mag article, I want you to keep in mind just what General Michael Flynn has had to endure so far. Flynn's life was ruined for a lot less than the person named in this article. He, Flynn, was at least a member of a presidential transition team. John Kerry, the haughty John Kerry, the former Secretary of State under Obama, John Kerry, is just now a private citizen. And General Flynn, as we know, wasn't negotiating anything with anyone. So here we go. From Front Page Mag. Logan Act violation. Kerry colludes with Iran against us. They write, remember when Senator Tom Cotton sending a warning letter to Iran was denounced as a Logan Act violation? Secretary of State John Kerry, whose entire career has been one Logan Act violation, threw in his 2 cents. And he said, quote, my reaction to the letter was utter disbelief, Kerry said. During my 29 years here in the Senate, and he was still in the Senate at the time, I have never heard of, nor even heard of it being proposed, anything comparable to this. That was the Tom Cotton letter. If I had, I can guarantee you no matter what the issue, and no matter who was president, I would have certainly rejected it. Unquote. Quote, nobody is questioning anyone's right to dissent, Kerry added, but to write to the leaders in the middle of a negotiation, particularly the leaders that they have criticized other people or even engaging with, and suggest that they're going to give a constitutional lesson, which, by the way, was absolutely incorrect, is quite stunning. The letter ignores more than 2 centuries of precedents in the conduct of American foreign policy, unquote. So this was the haughty John Kerry excoriating a sitting Senator Tom Cotton for sending a letter to Iran, a warning letter to Iran. Okay, so it's a sitting senator sending a warning letter to Iran. All right, so we have that in mind. Then the front page mag says, here's the Logan Act violation that John Kerry is up to now. He sat down at the United Nations with Foreign Minister Javad Zarif to discuss ways of preserving the pact limiting Iran's nuclear weapons program. So in other words, we know that the Trump administration is looking basically to sack this whole Iran deal. He just probably wants to get rid of the whole thing. And meanwhile, Kerry, covertly and subversively, is going behind the administration's back as a private citizen and is meeting with a foreign minister at the United Nations to try to preserve Obama's program. But that apparently is not a Logan Act violation. Right. It was the second time in about, now listen, this was the second time in about 2 months that the two had met to strategize over salvaging a deal that spent years negotiating during the Obama administration, according to a person briefed on the meetings. Now this might be unique, but for John Kerry, it is not unique. Front Page Mag writes, except, of course, that he had done this with the Viet Cong while not in office and with the Sandinistas while in office. Now he's negotiating illegally with his Iranian collaborator. And he didn't just meet with the Iranians. Kerry also met last month with German President Frank-Walter Steinmeier, and he's been on the phone with top European Union official Federica Mogherini. I guess that's how you pronounce it. Mogherini? I don't know. According to the source, who spoke on the condition of anonymity to reveal the private meetings. Kerry has also met with French President Emmanuel Macron in Paris and in New York. And they were conversing over the details of sanctions and regional nuclear threats in both French and English. Ah, yes. So in effect, John Kerry, a private citizen, is running his own private State Department covertly, going around a sitting administration. But that's not a Logan Act violation. Right. Front Page Mag writes that if the Dems want us to take the Logan Act seriously, lock him up. And he should. This is a clear violation of the Logan Act, and if anybody's going to jail for collusion and whatnot, it should be the haughty John Kerry. Because this is absolutely illegal what he's doing. Front Page Mag continues, with the Iran deal facing its gravest threat since its signing in 2015, Kerry has been on an aggressive yet stealthy mission to preserve it, using his deep lists of contacts gleaned during his time as the top U.S. diplomat to try to apply pressure on the Trump administration from the outside. This is absolute insanity. And putting pressure on the United States government in collaboration with foreign regimes, and some of them, like Iran, hostile, as far as I know, is still considered a terrorist nation. And they say, you know what's a good term for that? The collusion. Yes, indeed. So we're going to take a real quick break, and we'll be back for more collusion. Yeah.
You're listening to The Common Constitutionalist. Let the truth be known.
All right, so we're back with more collusion between John Kerry, Iran, the UN, France, and Germany. Yeah, this is just terrific. I can't believe this is a private citizen. Again, like I said, this is a private citizen conducting his own State Department type negotiations outside the realm of the federal government, outside the realm of the executive branch. It's just unbelievable. And nobody in the mainstream media is batting an eye. It's just unreal. So Front Page Mag continues. The author continues, I'm waiting for the FBI to raid his home, office, and hotel room, spy on his phones, despite the communications with a terror state. I doubt anyone at the NSA is even listening, and I doubt it too. And are they going to be forcing him to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on legal bills? He could certainly more than afford it, certainly more than Michael Flynn or Manafort or any of these other schmoes. They write that the law is this is a good one. They write that the law is supposed to apply equally to both parties. Isn't it? No, it's not. The law applies in two ways, the haves and the have-nots, the leftists and everyone else, the swamp and the anti-swamp. Those are the lines of demarcation between equal justice, social justice. And then Front Page Mag makes another pretty decent point. If the Dems want to hunt for Russian collusion, Putin is the guy behind Iran. Yes, that's true. If Putin says jump, the mullahs in Iran and Assad in Syria are going to say, how high? In what language, I don't know, but they'll say, how high? So, in effect, Kerry could be said to be colluding with Russia. That's right. So where are the midnight raids? Instead, we get things like the Boston Globe talking up John Kerry's echo chamber. They write that Kerry is coordinating his push with a group of officials who were his top advisors at the State Department and who helped craft and negotiate the Iran deal in the first place. The group, called Diplomacy Works. Ha ha, that's a good one. Diplomacy never works. For us, that is. Has an advisory council that includes lead Iran deal negotiator Wendy Sherman, former State Department Chief of Staff John Feiner, and former spokeswoman Jen Psaki. So all diplomacy, diplomat hacks, basically. Leftist hacks. And all who hate Trump, naturally, of course. The group, the Diplomacy Works group, claims to be responsible for 100 new articles, 34 television and radio hits, and 37 opinion pieces on the Iran question. They do fact checks of criticisms of the agreement and blast them out to an email list of nearly 4,000 policymakers and foreign policy experts. That's just terrific. And they're also busy engaging in Logan Act denial. And as far as the Logan Act, Stephen Vladeck, a law professor at the University of Texas, said the law is a red herring when used against leftists. He forgot to put that, so I'll add that in. Since it's never been used to prosecute anyone and almost certainly would not apply to anything Kerry is doing. Of course not. Quote, the act only applies to conduct that is designed to defeat the measures of the United States or influence the conduct of foreign governments, Vladeck said. If all Kerry is doing is working to keep in place something that's still technically a measure of the United States, I don't see how the statute would apply if someone was crazy enough to try it. Oh, you'd have to be crazy. So Kerry is not trying to defeat the measures of the United States, despite the fact that the measures of the United States Foreign Policy Department, which is the executive department, which is Trump basically, who is trying to get rid of the Iran deal or pare it down, that is not trying to defeat measures of the United States. I kind of think it is. And they remind us, as the Boston Globe's own story states, Kerry is trying to, quote, influence the conduct of foreign governments, unquote, while using them to apply pressure on the United States government. Well, that's pretty bloody plain, ain't it? So let's see the NSA eavesdropping and the FBI raids. Or do those only apply to people protecting this country against the left? Yes, as a matter of fact, you'd be correct. I just find this whole situation and this story absolutely stunning that John Kerry, so far, is basically getting away with running his own State Department and subverting the will of the United States, the current United States government, whatever that is. It doesn't make any difference. This is a clear Logan Act violation. It's a clear violation of law, and and John Kerry should be arrested and he should be perp walked, indicted and jailed, in my opinion. And so that's about all I got to say on that topic. So we're going to take a real quick break, and maybe I will, in fact, touch on this Dick's Sporting Goods thing. I'll be right back.
You're listening to The Common Constitutionalist. Let the truth be known.
All right, I'm back. Now, let's talk Dick's Sporting Goods, gun control, and Springfield Arms, shall we? This is from the Conservative Tribune. If Dick's Sporting Goods thought it could ban the AR-15 and similar weapons and just face boycotts from gun owners, they were wrong, especially after they started campaigning for gun control. And this is ridiculous. We'll get into that in just a little bit here. They write, one of the largest gun manufacturers in America, Springfield Armory, they make great guns, has announced that it will no longer do business with Dick's in the wake of their February decision to stop selling certain rifles. And it gets worse from there. Because they didn't just decide to stop selling certain rifles. Actually, if you go on their website, the only thing they sell are a bunch of little plinky 22s and whatnot. But at any rate, so the move came after it was reported that Dick's was working with lobbyists to enact new gun restrictions on Capitol Hill. Quote, the move is unusual for a firm in the retail sector where few brands tackle such a politically charged issue for fear it will turn off customers. And it sure as crap has. But it's turned off the wrong customers. I don't know who, I've gone through this before. I don't know who, the Ed Stack, I believe, is the CEO of this thing, and he got this whole ball rolling, this anti-gun nonsense ball rolling. But what customers is he trying to please? The customers that think they're all guns are evil? I mean, it just doesn't make any sense. So let's worry about turning the customers that will never darken your door to buy a weapon in the first place. I hate to say that, newsflash, they're not coming anyway. So it's not like you're going to lose any business by ticking them off. So Conservative Tribune continues, forget the customers, however, they might have a bigger problem on their hand with Springfield. Quote, Springfield Armory is severing ties with Dick's Sporting Goods and its subsidiary Field and Stream in response to their hiring a group of anti-Second Amendment lobbying, unquote, the company announced Thursday. Quote, this last action follows Dick's Sporting Goods' decision to remove and destroy, I still can't get over that they didn't donate all these weapons to, police academies or boot camps or whatever, whoever, but they decided to destroy it, as a sign of a virtue signal, and it's exactly what it was. And they write that in addition, they have denied the Second Amendment rights to Americans under the age of 21. Well, they are a private company, and Dick's can do whatever they want. The Second Amendment doesn't apply inside their store. Sorry, just doesn't. You don't have to like it. I don't like it, but it just doesn't. That's the way it goes. So Springfield Armory stated, quote, it is clear where Dick's Sporting Goods and its subsidiary Field and Stream stand on the Second Amendment, and we want to be clear about our message in response, Springfield said. Their position runs counter to what we stand for as a company, unquote. So the Tribune continues, why Dick's would lobby against the interests of their suppliers and their own customers is anyone's guess. I could guess. But one could predict that Springfield isn't the last company we're going to see boycotting Dick's. So in a couple of related issues, the National Shooting Sports Foundation, or NSSF, which is the nation's largest firearms trade association, has also expelled Dick's Sporting Goods, citing the retailer's decision to hire multiple gun lobbyists. The vote to expel Dick's from the NSSF, that's a mouthful, was unanimous, the group said in a press release issued Friday morning. Quote, the National Shooting Sports Foundation, the NSSF, the Trade Association for the Firearms, Ammunition, Hunting, and Shooting Sports Industries Board of Governors today unanimously voted to expel Dick's Sporting Goods from membership for conduct detrimental to the best interests of the foundation, unquote, the group announced. And the Tribune writes that NSSF's vote to expel Dick's Sporting Goods follows news first reported by the Federalist that Dick's hired 3 lobbyists to push exclusively for gun control. Federal lobbying disclosure records show that the lobbyists were hired on April 27 for the sole purpose of lobbying related to gun control, unquote. So we're going to take one more real quick break here, and then we'll be right back to wrap this bad boy up. You're listening to me, the Common Constitutionalist.
Yeah, baby! Yeah!
All right, so how stupid are the people at Dick's Sporting Goods? I mean, you would think they'd be complete morons, but, they are otherwise probably not that stupid. They're probably Ed Stack, and these guys are probably pretty good business people overall. Dick's has been a pretty popular sporting goods store for a long time. And I don't know if Ed Stack, the CEO of Dick's, is a lib, but I'm guessing he must be because he's making decisions like this one. If I've said it once, I've said it 100 times. This is what liberals do. They act, they vote, they speak out against their own best interest because they were liberals first and foremost, no matter what else they are, whether they're a garbage collector or a CEO of Dick's. If they're a liberal, you're a liberal first, and then you're whatever you are after that, second. But frankly, I don't even know what's worse at this point. Just being a dopey lib who just blindly believes that anti-gun propaganda, or some spineless businessman is just too afraid to take a stand one way or the other. I guess it's kind of the latter. that even if you think even if we think you're dead wrong on the issue, at least you have the courage to take a stand. The other is just the typical virtue signaling in order to curry favor from those, who think you're going to punish you. Whoever's going to punish you the worst, those are the ones you're going to curry favor with. And it seems like it's always the left. And this is the trap that businesses always get caught up with these leftist protesters and these protest movements, is they are masters of making a few look like thousands. That they've got these Twitter algorithms and things like this, that they have these fat toads in their basement, half naked, sweating over their computers, writing these algorithms to make a few dozen tweets look like thousands of tweets and look like it's some massive nationwide movement. It's a scam, and business people fall for this kind of crap all the time. And it's a pleasure when somebody like Springfield Arms says, they stand up and say, you know what, screw this, we're taking a stand. And I guarantee you, it ain't going to affect their business adversely, no chance. So Ed Stack, the CEO of Dick's, said that the company was moved to make a change when they learned that the alleged Parkland shooter, Nicholas Cruz, had purchased a firearms from one of their stores. Of course, the firearm that he purchased didn't have anything to do with the shooting incident at Parkland. It didn't have anything to do with the mass murder, but whatever. Stack said that it came to us that we could have been part of the story. Of course, you weren't, but you could have been, I suppose. And we said, quote, we don't want to be part of this any longer. Oh, we're going to take a stand. Yes, indeedy. But again, Dick's is a private company, and they can do whatever the crap they want to do. Whether it's detrimental, whether we think it's dopey leftist nonsense and virtue signaling, it doesn't really make any difference. So I want to end on I guess it's a related note, just because it's a dig at Dick's Sporting Goods, who I will never darken the door of a Dick's Sporting Goods for as long as I live, unless they change their policy back. Whether I need a soccer ball or a lacrosse ball or something for shooting, it doesn't make any difference. I ain't darkening Dick's Sporting Goods. So anyway, I went online to see what kind of guns they still do offer. And so I went to the Dick's Sporting Goods flyer of the week or the month or whatever, and I was frankly appalled at what I saw. I actually wasn't. But if I were a snowflake, I would have fainted dead away. In the baseball section, I was going through, and it's like 25 pages of this flyer, and in the baseball section, there were the usual bats and balls and cleats and jerseys and whatnot. But then I saw it. Gasp! A Cleveland Indians jersey. The baseball team, the Cleveland Indians. Am I allowed to say Indians? Whoa, whoa, whoa. Sorry. I'll probably get taken off of YouTube for that. But a Cleveland Indians jersey, but it didn't even say Cleveland on it. Emblazoned on the front was a single word, and that word was tribe. Tribe. Like, whoa, 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 whoa. Indian tribe. And to add insult to injury, what color was the shirt? It was red, like a redskin tribal leader. So it was, I couldn't believe when I saw this. I actually laughed out loud when I saw this. And these liberal snowflakes that work at Dick's at this point, they're so sensitive to this crap. How could they have let this thing go through? Somebody saw this and they said, yeah, that seems okay to me. No, are you kidding me? And the fact that I saw this and no one else has said anything so far as I know, it's insanity. And it's obviously cultural appropriation, like that poor little girl that was wearing that Chinese-looking prom dress. Man, did she get some crap for that. But at the same time, it's a shirt on their flyer. It's red and it says tribe. Are you freaking kidding me? Somebody, not me, because I don't do this kind of stuff, should start a Twitter campaign against Dick's Sporting Goods for cultural appropriation and see if it takes off, just for the heck of it, and see what kind of reaction. So that's about all I got. I loved that one. That was terrific when I found that. So this is, like I said, this is about all I got. That's good enough anyway. For the audio version of the Common Constitutionalist Weekend podcast. And this is Brent Smith, the Common Constitutionalist, signing off. Y'all have a blessed balance of the weekend, and I am out. See you.
thank you for listening to the Common Constitutionalist Weekly Podcast.